So hi guys, my name is Matt. Welcome to the Sin Bin, and I'm bringing to you guys yet another video, and this time to a topic that hits close to home because I'm a Canadiens fan. So the Canadiens are a team that I watch more so above any other team in the NHL. They're my favorite team since the childhood, since I could ever remembered it. I have always loved the Canadiens, and they haven't loved me back because if they did, they would have won a cup by now. But I haven't seen jack shit. And those mofos in Chicago have seen 3 cups. I'm yet to see one, and I watch every game. I deserve my cup, but that's another video. What I really wanted to talk about is Shea Weber. Shea Weber has a great reputation across the NHL. He's viewed as a leader. He represented Team Canada at the Worlds, at the Olympics. He's been a staple of the Nashville Predators. He's been a captain for every team he's played on. He has a great reputation. And in fact, yesterday when I was watching the game against the Philadelphia Flyers, he flat out cross-checked Hartman, broke his stick on him. Any other players would get a penalty. But Shea Weber has such a good reputation, nothing. But this is what I want to talk about. We all know that Shea Weber isn't the Shea Weber of old. He's not in his prime anymore. I know it doesn't take a magician with a crystal ball to know that. You know, if you go on the NHL games and you say you play NHL 2012, Shea Weber has like an overall rating of 94. And he's maybe like the second highest player in the game. He's not there. We all know that. But from where I stand, there's good players, there's bad players, and then there's Shea Weber. Is that a fair assessment? Of course not. There are no bad players in the NHL. It takes work, it takes dedication, and PK Subban will say it takes luck, which we'll get to him later. But it takes a lot of talent to be an NHL player. So of course Shea Weber is not a bad player. But, and there's a but, I gotta admit, the more I watch the Canadiens, the more I get depressed. And hockey should be fun. I should get entertainment. It should be an escape. And especially in Quebec where, you know, they talk about politics over and over again. I'm sick of politics. I just want to watch hockey to escape. And when I watch it, I sort of get depressed. And I tried to pinpoint it on someone or something. And out came the name Shea Weber. When I watch Shea Weber play, I get acid reflux. You know, I'll get to why exactly the faults in his game. But first, I want to bring you the whole timeline of my love-hate relationship with Shea Weber. Okay. So, the Nashville Predators played the San Jose Sharks in a playoff series. Shea Weber was the captain of the Predators, obviously. And I think it went to 6 or 7 games. San Jose wiped the floor with the Predators. And Shea Weber was on the ice for all 5 of the San Jose Shark goals. He was a -5 that game. Let's go see PK Subban's last game with the Montreal Canadiens. He was accidentally hit by his own player, Alexei Yemlin, and his neck kind of snapped, and he was stretchered off the ice. So suffice to say, each player had a sour last game for their respective teams. Now, it's June 29th, 2016. Me and my cousin who lives next door from me, my cousin Christopher, we used to always play PlayStation together, and we used to play the NHL games, and we would sort of create our own teams and have a fantasy draft and make our own little teams and have trades between them. So it's June 29th, 2016. I'm asleep. I'm having a little nap. And my cousin knocks on my door, my bedroom door. He wakes me up. He says, "You'll never believe this. Shea Weber just got traded for PK Subban." And I woke up, and the first thing that came to my mind, I thought he was talking about PlayStation. I thought he was talking about the video games. I'm like, "Man, you little shit, what are you talking about?" He says, no, no, no. This is real life. PK Subban just got traded for Shea Weber, in which is single-handedly the biggest one-to-one trade I have ever seen as a Habs fan. Suffice to say, I shit a little in my sheets. Here are the exact details of what went on that day. So, 3:34 p.m. Eastern Time, Taylor Hall is traded from the Edmonton Oilers to the New Jersey Devils for Adam Larson. And talk about a lopsided trade. Taylor Hall obviously later on became the MVP, and Adam Larson is struggling as a top four defenseman in Edmonton. 3:54, PK Subban is traded from the Montreal Canadiens to the Nashville Predators in exchange for Shea Weber. And at precisely 3:57 p.m. Eastern Time, the center Steven Stamkos signs an 8-year, $64 million deal with the Tampa Bay Lightning. This may have been single-handedly the craziest half hour in NHL history. And in Montreal, obviously, they focused on the Subban trade. Everyone went nuts. PK Subban established himself as a philanthropist in Montreal. He established himself as a superstar player, dedicated to his community, donated $10 million to a children's hospital. And that's a lot of money, $10 million. And especially with the taxes of Montreal, that's a lot of money he gave up for the hospital. And everyone liked him. He was the shining boy of the fans, less so for the coaches and the staff. So he was traded. And TSN Radio, which since it was the off season, the only thing they talked about that game was the trade. What did I think about the trade? I hated it. And not just because I was a PK Subban fan, because yes, he was my favorite player. And fun fact, he's actually born on the same day as me, May 13th. But not just because of that, because I wasn't necessarily opposed to trading Subban, given his off-ice, let's call them issues, for lack of a better word, and his impact in the locker room. I wasn't opposed to it as long as the return is feasible and it's a good return. What I think they got for Shea Weber, was not a good return, because PK Subban was 27 at the time, Shea Weber was 30 at the time. You are giving up 3 years. You should get more than just a one-to-one return. They should have gotten a prospect or a first-round pick, or maybe a second-round pick or 2 second-round picks. There is no way in hell that should have been a one-to-one deal. This is Marc Bergevin's biggest mistake. Forget the fact that Subban later gets nominated for a Norris and Weber misses half a season with a foot injury. Forget all of that. The big mistake lies in the fact that Bergevin did not get more than a one-to-one return. And for that reason, I didn't like the trade. Now, a lot of people said, I'm thinking Pierre LeBrun, I'm thinking Pierre Maguire. A lot of reporters said, it's sort of an even trade. Sort of, not really. Montreal wins in the short term because at the time, 2016, they judged Shea Weber to be a better defenseman than PK Subban. But they say in the long term, Weber has a lot of hard miles on him. He plays a physical style. He won't last long. So they say in the long term, the Nashville Predators win the trade because Subban would still be in his prime, in 2019, 2020, etc. I couldn't disagree more. I thought that at the time of the trade, Weber was already past his prime. I thought at the time of the trade, PK Subban was a better player than Shea Weber. So, in my opinion, Subban was better in the short term and in the long term. So the Canadiens, in my opinion, got fleeced. So moving down in the timeline, July 4th, approximately 4 a.m., I had a dream. I dreamt of Shea Weber. Now, dreams are a funny thing, Sometimes it's a one and done deal. Sometimes people don't even remember them when they wake up. I remember this dream clear as day. And I took this dream as a vision, as a message, as a sign to come. So we're in Kelowna, BC. I believe Shea Weber played his junior career there. And we're standing nearby his home, which is a beautiful mansion. I don't know if it's like that in real life, but it was like that in my dream. And we're standing by his truck, and I'm talking to Shea Weber, and we're engaging in conversation, and we're laughing, and I'm regaling him, and he's just laughing. He's just laughing, and we're talking, and I remember at some point I say, the Montreal market, it's crazy. The media is crazy. If a player doesn't perform or if a player doesn't work hard, they're going to attack him and they're going to crucify him. And I said, Shea, you need to play your game. Don't focus on all of the noise. Just play your game. Play a simple game. Nothing too flashy, nothing too fancy. Just play your game and everything's going to be fine. And he was like, okay, yeah, fine. And we went out for Angus burgers. So I woke up sweaty, rushed to the bathroom, diarrhea. The diarrhea, was this a sign of things to come, or was it just too much sushi? It's up for debate. I'll let you guys decide. It's like the ending of Inception. It's up for debate. That's your opinion. But moving forward, Shea Weber plays his first game. It's a preseason game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. What were my thoughts? Hey, not bad. He's actually a really good player. Just that one game, he played like the Wayne Gretzky of defense. And I remember William Nylander was coming down the wing, and he just leveled him with a beautiful open ice hit. Knocked him on his ass, his little Swedish blonde ass. And he knocked him on his ass. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to act like I knew a lot about him because I don't watch Nashville Predator games. Nashville Predator fans don't watch Nashville Predator games, at the time at least. And so I'm not going to act like I knew a lot about Shea. But judging from that first game, I was thinking, you know what, maybe it was sort of an even trade. But the thing about Shea is that in a short sample size, he's going to look good. But the thing about Shea is that he wears off over time. He wears off. And back to current times right now, we could see it. If I were the coach, they talk about goalies when they play a back-to-back game, if they should play both games. If I were a coach, I wouldn't play Shea Weber on a back-to-back game because he can barely skate anymore, and it's sad. And that game a few weeks ago against the Toronto Maple Leafs, the puck was dumped in the corner on the boards, and Weber had a considerable, sizable head start to the puck, and Austin Matthews just skated around him like it was nothing. And so the thing about Shea Weber is that as the years go by and as the seasons go by and as the games go by and as the hits accumulate and as the miles accumulate, he wears off over time. But as a general, that first season with the Montreal Canadiens, he was really good. Really good. Maybe not superstar level, but he was good. It looked like an even trade. Then the second season came around. He got that foot injury. And there's a lot of stories saying the medical staff in Montreal didn't really handle it well, yada, yada, yada. But if there was a part on the body, I would like Shea Weber to at least get the injured. It's the foot. Well, actually, it's something else, but I can't say it because this is a PG show. But it's the foot. And why the foot? Because he's slow. He's already a slow player. I say it all the time. He skates like he has cement in his skates. And now that he had that foot injury, his foot must be mashed potatoes. And that's going to make him even slower. And I was right. Shea Weber is slower than ever. And it's so sad to see him play with Victor Mete, who's one of the faster skaters on the Canadian. And just to see that contrast, it gives me a small seizure. So the contrast meaning. And Victor Mete, in case you guys are wondering, I know he doesn't have his first goal yet. I know it's taking him forever to score a goal, but I see a lot of upside in this player. And you know why? Because the direction the league is going, it's a small man's game. It's a fast man's game. If you can skate above anything else, you will probably have a job in the National Hockey League. The reason Shea Weber was such a big player when I said he was 94 overall in NHL 12 or 13, the reason why is because back in those days, it wasn't about skill and speed. It was about size. Size trumped everything. And that influenced the Canadians in 2009, I believe, to draft defenseman Jared Tenorti, who, this 6'7" beast. He's this physical presence. And as you guys know, he never established himself in the NHL. So it was a size game, and Shea Weber excelled at it. And even now, when Shea Weber delivers a hit, I mean, I feel it watching it through the TV. It is bone-crushing hits. And he's one of the few players I've seen him push a player with one hand and the player falls on their asshole. He's one of the few players that can do that. But the problem is his foot speed. And I'll repeat that over and over and over again. He is slow. And you could be as physical as you want. But if you don't have the speed to catch up to someone to deliver that hit, you're not going to give the hit. And we see that another example of that is Milan Lucic. Weber is the Lucic of defense. He was good at a time where size and physicality trumped everything. But now that it's a speedy game, they have trouble delivering hits. Lucic, he will give a hit, but you see these bone-crushing open ice hits, you'll never see either Lucic or Weber deliver that because they don't have the foot speed to catch up to the player. And as much as I hate saying this, on some nights, Victor Mete makes Shea Weber look good, meaning that Mete corrects some of his errors, and Mete is the better player on some nights. Now, overall, I don't think Mete is a better player than Shea Weber. Shea Weber still has a sizable amount of upside. But as I see the Canadians going in this wave of youth, and a lot of young players, the Kotkanyemis, the Domis, the Drouin, the Metes, they have this wave of youth, Suzuki, Paling. And then I see Shea Weber and somewhat Carey Price. They're aging. I'm like, this isn't a rebuild, and this isn't a push for the Stanley Cup. They're kind of caught in limbo. Now, if it were up to me, I would trade Weber. I would think about trading Price, but probably not because there's no goalie that can take his place right now in the Montreal system. But I would trade Shea Weber. I would get as many assets as I could, as many draft picks and as many prospects. And I would start a rebuild from there. Because one thing I will tell you is that Shea Weber is past his prime, and he's not going to get better. He is definitely not going to get better. So thanks for listening to my little rant. If you like this, please subscribe. Please like the video. Leave a comment if you agree, if you disagree. My name is Matt.